I am the CRM Ninja, and welcome to another episode of the Oops Factor. Today, I have appearing on the show. In fact, it's his first time appearing on any show, so I'm really honored that he's chosen mine to start off with. Benedikt Bergmann. How are you doing, Benedikt?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good, thanks. Bit of sleep deprivation, but otherwise fine. And once again, really appreciate you, coming on the show. It's, I feel very honored that it's the first time you're doing anything like this, and you accepted my invitation for it. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's really exciting to be on a podcast or on a show the first time. Thank you for having me.
That's not a problem. I know that, one feels when one does it for the first time, it can be strange. But, as I said to you before we started recording, this really is just a conversation. There's really no script. So let's jump into it then. Now,
Yes.
Before we get to your Oops Factor story, I understand you have a couple of hobbies, and one of them is rock climbing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. I've come into this through my wife. So she has done it a long time before me, and now we are doing it together. Yeah.
So your wife
Mostly,
was doing this before you met her, and you got married, and she introduced
yeah.
you to rock climbing.
Yes, some kind of, yes, rock climbing and bouldering, and now,
Wow.
yeah, we're doing it outside if we have time. Otherwise, it's inside in the hall in the climbing center.
Okay. And I mean, I don't do rock climbing for a variety of reasons, but is it sort of freestyle, or do you tether and stuff?
Yeah, so if you go to rock, then you normally have like prepared walls where you have bolted in like, yeah, where you can put your rope in and so
Right.
on. And those ropes or those how do you say it? Those
They're called eyelets or
stuffy.
something, I think.
Yeah, and those are prepared, and you know what
Okay.
you have to do, and you know the grade and the difficulty beforehand, so you
Okay.
know what you're going into. Yeah.
Brilliant. Because I know some people do absolute freestyle. I mean, there's a French man who climbs freestyle. I mean, he climbs buildings and stuff. I've forgotten his name. I've watched a couple of videos of his. It's really
Yeah,
incredible.
but that's not what we are doing. So we are doing it with the rope and not free
Okay.
solo or whatever you could do as well. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know a guy called Jason Almeida?
No, actually not. Who is this?
So Jason works here in the UK for Hitachi, and Jason also does bouldering and rock climbing and stuff. In fact, he actually wrote an app to log his trails and his progress and stuff.
Which one is this one?
It's a
Do you
personal
know?
app. It's not released. He
Oh,
didn't
it's for
release it
him. Yeah.
widely.
Okay.
He did a personal one using Power Platform
hmm
because he's
That's
a
nice.
Power Platform and Dynamics guy. So yeah, I'll hook the two of you up if he
Yeah,
ever
that
comes to
would
the
be nice.
UK or comes to yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant. So
Nice.
from rocks to Oops Factor, which hopefully is not falling off a rock or having a rock fall on
No,
you.
no, it is not.
What do you have to
Yeah,
share with us?
yeah. I want to talk about ALM,
Okay,
application lifecycle management. So that's
right.
my thing. Um, and you could say an oops factor I had is when I started with the Power Platform, or when I moved to Sweden like 3 years ago, roundabout, I started a project with Dynamics CM 2013, and they haven't
Oh,
had.
on-prem.
Yes, on-prem, obviously.
Good old
Yes,
days.
yes, really. And they haven't had ALM, and we had to deploy like 5 to 7 hours when we had deployments because everything was manually. And this was my oops factor, so we have to do something here.
Hold on,
And
hold on.
yeah,
They didn't have any automation at all in place. Everything was being done manually.
yes, all the deployments were manually.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
right.
yes, and now with automation, we have brought it down to like 2 hours or something like that.
Using
Um,
DevOps, I'm assuming.
yes, not in this case because it's on premise. It's more like uh, scripts and applications that we wrote to do it. But we want to move to DevOps on-prem as well for them. Yeah.
Got it. So what went wrong?
To coming to this point, or not having the automation? What do you mean?
Yes. So obviously without having automation, but did anything happen as a result of not having automation in place?
Yeah, besides having a lot of overtime and stress, because you have to write order, obviously, deploying stuff. If you have different solutions, that has to be deployed in the right order, and then also deploying batch jobs around and so on.
Right.
And then post-deploy steps, manual ones, configuration stuff. So it was just a pain to do everything manually.
Major pain.
Yes.
And did it ever get deployed in the wrong order and then things just had to be redone from the beginning?
And not in the time where I was there. So we always have done it like several person at the same time, so that we had like a check with each other and followed the normal procedure. So fingers crossed it was going well all the time, but still having like 7 hours deployment, it's just too much.
No, that's crazy. So what did you do then? Obviously, anything that has a massive amount of manual steps is an oops in and of itself, because you should automate these sort of things as much as possible to ensure consistent approach. So this was there when you started with the project with this company, and what did you do to make it better, even with it being manual along the way?
Yeah, so we introduced, this customer is like 9 organizations, so we had to deploy to 9 organizations at the same time. So
9 different instances of Dynamics.
Yeah. So we introduced an application that will do this for us, exporting and then importing to those 9. Automatically, and we're not logging in every 9 and then importing the zip file. Then we introduced another script which will deploy all the batch jobs. So we just deliver a package and we'll deploy the batch jobs, restarts IISs if it was an API that was deployed, and so on. So we had different scripts that do stuff automatically then.
You warmed my heart there when you said to restart IIS, because I remember back in the day doing that with 4.0, which was obviously on-prem, and having to do that. So fond memories.
Yes. Yeah. And we have several APIs and applications around Dynamics in this project. And so we had to restart them as well. And this was also handled manually before. Yeah.
So it was done very manually before, and then you put some scripts in and you wrote some custom code around it too.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah. And now obviously in every project we have now, we directly try to introduce ALM and sell it to the customer as well, to slip this whole manual stuff.
How do you sell it to the customer? Say I'm a customer and you've come in and I say, right, I've got Dynamics and I want updates and stuff, and you say there's this thing called ALM, and I say, what's ALM? How would you sell such a thing?
Good question. It's hard because mostly it will not be sold by the sales guys normally. So you have to sell it afterwards. But then we just list up all the positive stuff you have with ALM, like not that long deployments, it's better quality, it's we can focus on the stuff we really want or we are really good at developing or configuration, and don't have to invest as much time for just moving stuff around. And
so in essence, it's a cost saver for deployment, which means that the resources that previously they would have been using for the deployment time, they can use elsewhere in the project to gain better gain.
Yes, that's how it is. And also, if you do stuff manually, it's error prone, obviously. And so we hire our quality because it's automated. So it's always the same steps in always the same order. We don't forget anything because that's human. You forget stuff.
We all do it. Been there, done that.
That's how it is. And that's the major thing how you could sell it to the customer.
Brilliant. No, that's a really good explanation. And I know I've had to talk about ALM a bit in conversations when I've been with clients. So with that company that had 9 different instances, organizations, what were you doing with backups?
Those were not in our area. So they had the partner who delivered the servers, and they also managed the backups. So
when you were deploying, you then had to get the partner to back it up first.
Yes.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And that all went, but that went smoothly. There was nothing that went wrong.
Yeah, that was not an issue actually. So they took it was VM, so they took snapshots, which was quite fast. It doesn't took a long time, but we had to have it in our process as well. So it was not just we which was included; it was also other suppliers.
Wow. And did you know about this when you went into the project, or was it you sort of turned up and then it was like, this is the situation?
Yeah, it was more like that. That's how it is. But I also started as a developer and then got the solution architect there.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but it was like, here's the project, and that's how it is.
Sometimes you're thrown in on the deep end. What can I say? Okay, so if you would go into a client nowadays and you would find the same sort of situation, what would you try and do? Your first steps?
I would try to sell in ALM on DevOps, Azure DevOps. If it's on-premise, you could install on-prem agent. So this could also be fixed, or they install Azure DevOps on-premise, which is not Azure then, but DevOps on-premise. And then you can have like the Power Apps build tools in the pipeline and just deploy it directly. I think that would be the way to go for me.
Yeah, and it's important.
Yes, it is really important. So it's the first thing I always ask in any project now, if to the project manager and the customer, if we have talked about ALM and so on, because it saves us time. It's better to have it from the beginning to also get your code better, because if you can run all the unit tests on every check-in, for example. If anything is not green or anything is red, then you are not allowed to merge and such stuff, which also is included in ALM. So it's just betters your code quality.
I fully agree with you. And again, if you can educate, the client and the project team as early as possible to get them on good practice, then there's a massive amount of benefit that you can reap later on down the line. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
It should always be included in the best practice of the company. I am doing this at the moment.
I fully agree with you 100%. I've had my own fair share of things at best practice that haven't necessarily been around, but always try and push as much as possible for these things to be used. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, ALM is a massive topic. I floated into it a couple of times, but not majorly. I know a lot of people who go really deep into it, but I know enough about it to know that it's really important. So I appreciate you sharing your story. And the big lesson coming out of that for people is, application lifecycle management. You want to be doing this on your projects. You want to be educating your clients the benefits for it, and then as we mentioned a few minutes ago, you can take the extra spend that you would otherwise be spending on manual things, and you can put it to better use within the project.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah, it's win-win all around. So with having shared your story in mind, if you could nominate somebody else to appear on the show and share one of their Oops Factor stories, who would you want to nominate?
Ooh, that's a tricky question. I would say since I'm a technical guy and developer, I would love to hear something from another developer so that I can learn something from them.
Anybody coming to mind? Doesn't matter where they
Jonas
are
Rapp.
globally.
Jonas Rapp coming to my mind directly, from Sweden as well.
Rappen, yes.
Yeah, Rappen, exactly. I think he has some oops factors to share, I would say. Yeah.
I've heard rumors from a couple of people who may bump into him from time to time that he does.
Yeah.
So brilliant. Well, I will reach out to him. I will tell him he's been nominated and we'll try and get him on the show.
Perfect.
Amazing. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Viewers, we hope that you've enjoyed and learned a really valuable lesson from this Oops Factor that Benedikt has shared. Please feel free to check out the rest of the Oops Factor playlist here on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Have a great day.